we have with us Subhashis Nath. He's mentor at Global Risk Management Institute, who is going to talk to us about how risk management is now very important for honing your leadership skills. Now, yours is an institute, Global Risk Management Institute. Now, whenever I think of risk management, I think of the financial sector, and okay, you have risk managers who assess loans being given out. Is this what you do? Is this what the people you train for?
That's a great point, because I think typically what's happened is risk management's almost been synonymous with financial services. Part of that's because the regulator's been a lot more active in that segment. But if you look at now, I think firstly you've got more regulators who've been active across different industry segments. Two, I think I would call out 3 factors which have really driven the sort of focus on risk management. That's what this institute's all about. One is the fact that globalization is driving companies to get into far more uncharted territories. And therefore, avenues of uncertainty, which is what risk is, are really kind of increasing. Two, I think the independent directors and boards, their roles are a lot more onerous. So they're asking far tougher questions of the management, of the leadership. And third is the fact that I think big leaders have figured out that unless you can predict the uncertainty to an extent, you would lose the edge. And that's what this institute's all about. It's about teaching students risk management across about 6 to 7 different industry segments: retail, hospitality, telecom, manufacturing, going beyond the standard banking and insurance world.
But why? Why would I need to be trained in risk aspects of work? You know, because if I have a telecom company, I already have an operations manager, a financial officer, and they do look at risk which exists in the business in all ends. So why do I need a special risk officer?
So I think a couple of things. Essential risk management, if you think of it in any organization, operates in sort of 3 strata. First, the strategic risks, which you would typically expect the board and the CXO to be spending time on, different from your operational risks. And then you've obviously got your enabling functions, which are also a significant source of risk and good drivers for risk management. So why you need that really is the fact that if you are not able to bring in the sort of perspective of saying what can go wrong, which is very different from running BAU, business as usual. It's a very different skill set that can run BAU from a headset, actually. I would call it a headset, actually, more than skill set, of continuously saying what can go wrong and what I do today.
What if? So if I have a company and I want to keep somebody who's going to say, what if, then why do I need somebody on my roles? Why don't I just go to an advisory who can, look at the risk and give me advice?
Terrific question, and which is why you'll find that, this is an ongoing debate between, is this something I should outsource? Should I insource? And then possibly, therefore, the answer lies in a midway path, co-sourcing, really. Because in-house professionals bring a certain depth of business process domain understanding, which sometimes external advisors kind of lack. But at the same time, your in-house professionals do have a hugely important role to play, because once you've got an external advisor telling you what those what-ifs are, what those uncertainties are, what leading practices are to mitigate them, end of the day, ownership of implementing them has to sit in-house.
Okay. So, what is the situation like in India at this point of time? If it isn't, risk management isn't something now which is unique only to the financial world, are Indian corporates, warming up to the idea? Are there enough risk professionals? What is really happening on the ground now?
So I think I'll answer that in kind of 2 parts. One, I think clearly you will find large Indian corporates now being a lot more aspirational of going global. And you can clearly see the Airtels of the world, the Tata Groups of the world, Reliance of the world, names that everyone recognizes. They all have global aspirations and global footprints as well. So therefore, I think there is a far greater appreciation of the fact that this globalization has to drive need for better risk management. That's one part of it. But I think a big part of the reason why one is very bullish about this skill set, this headset, and this institute is the fact that this is a skill that's highly fungible across the globe. Principles and tenets of risk management don't change whether you run that business in India or in the US, Europe, Australia, Singapore.
How is that? Because the rules of the game is not the same. Regulations are different. So how is the risk same?
Exactly. So if you think of the whole risk universe, the way sort of a typical risk subject matter would talk about it, Regulatory risk is just one of those many. So you're absolutely spot on when you say that regulatory risk does change by geography. And therefore, sitting here, could you be an expert of German law or Spanish law? The answer is no. But the basic tenets of what drives strategic risk, what's operational risk all about? Because procurement, supply chain, inventory management, customer relationship, that's universal. Hospitality is universal. The way you deal with a customer at a front desk in a hotel
is the same
no matter where you are.
But what I want to understand is, if I'm a graduate and I want to go in for further education, why should I look at becoming a risk manager? I can do finance, I can do marketing. If I do risk, how does it impact my future profile and my career progression? Is there something that sets this apart, that this is going to help me when I have to grow within companies and get to the top?
So I think what it does is it makes you a far more all-rounded professional to start with. Because exactly to your point, I could do a marketing specialization, I could do a finance specialization, I could do an HR specialization. To me, that's almost a straitjacket approach. Once you're a risk professional, and what this sort of program's all about is it teaches you all functional aspects, finance, marketing, HR. It teaches you stuff across industry verticals, makes you a lot more fungible. And our view is that once you understand and get that risk headset about across 7-8 different industry segments, you could apply that in no matter which condition you put into. And there are companies, and I wouldn't sort of want to call them out, but there are companies today, and large global Fortune 10 company, I'll tell you, where the career path of someone who goes through a typical risk function is about 2x. So if you could get to E-band in about 4 years, whereas a normal path there is about 8 to 9. That's the kind of quantum difference it can make.
So at Global Risk Management Institute, very quickly, if you can give us a little snapshot of the course. Who is it for? Is it for working professionals? Is it for graduates? How long is it?
So it's essentially a 1-year full-time classroom program, is the flagship program.
Okay.
We also, like all other schools, do have the typical sort of management development programs, which we call RMDPs, Risk Management Development Programs, run for 3 to 5 days. Some are weekend programs. But the flagship programs are 1 year full-time. It's meant for graduates. It's meant for engineers. The good part of it is I've seen successful professionals from English honors as well as economics, commerce, physics. So it's sort of not sort of limiting to a particular stream. That's really what the program's all about.
All right, Subhashis, thank you so much for speaking with us at NDTV Profit.
Absolutely,
and highlighting for us the demand-supply gap that exists for risk managers, and how risk management and understanding the subject can help management professionals scale up in their career progression.